Hi everyone to Cats Video Production. We started our broadcast today. It's 3:13 Eastern Time. As a news agency, we started with the news right now. It comes from the firefighters' battle in two-alarm blaze in Frederick, Washington. Today morning, at the left of at least two homes damages. The fire was reported around 7 a.m. in the 2200 block of the Waterburn Way. So the news was the scene of the show damages on the roofs, at least two homes, at least one in the homes suffered more serious damage. No injuries have been reported. The case of the fire is still under investigations. So this is the not good news, of course, and Lynn Su is enjoyed to our studio right now. Lynn, hello, how are you?
Hi. That's such a tragedy.
This is the tragedy, and I
Yeah,
hope in the Florida there is no accident like this. So what? It's a tragedy. That's really, yeah,
that's terrible. Yeah.
it is.
Did you hear anything about? I didn't hear about the. Were there any survivors, or was no one?
Yeah, the no injuries people have been reported. Fortunately, yeah,
Oh, thank
it's
goodness.
just
Yeah.
a yes, but there is, this is the problem because the people have to live somewhere.
Yeah.
So we come to the Florida's. And so I see we have serious control on the situation. Not happens like in the Frederick here. So tell me what we do in this case, and what is our community protected in this case? How we protect it in this case?
Hmm. So I'm not clear on what happened to exactly.
Nobody knows. It's just happened, and the investigation is still the situation is under investigation. The news reports, but still, we have to protect our houses and the fire alarm. We have to protect our businesses here to know it's not going to happen in Florida in our areas and in our neighborhoods.
I know because I mean we're also a lot closer to each other. I mean that was a townhouse, but I mean in our case we have like buildings that are all adjacent to each other and they're all tall buildings. Definitely like there has to be some precautions that are taken. I have seen, there's like sprinkler systems and fire alarms have to really be, checked up and make sure that, these things are functioning. Um, that's one thing. And then like there has to be a plan, with the family itself. Like everybody has to know what happens and where would they rejoin if something happens in a catastrophe of any kind. That's another thing. The other part is I think like the cities do have like certain temporary shelters that they could actually, stay at. And I think that this is where it goes down to like the municipal level of how they would plan to support anybody who has, a tragedy like this happen to them. So those are the aftermaths, but the prevention part is very, very, very important, right?
Yes.
What can we do to prevent it? Like obviously we don't know in this case what is the cause of everything, so we should really look into the reason why that is, and if it was anything to do with a government code of any kind that has to do with safety and prevention of fires, that's definitely important to look at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and again, we just having the live from Frederick when the two, at least two, the one building was fire out, and so no injuries have been reported. The thanks God, but we have that situation, and this is live. So remind me the situation with the Florida when we got some inspections and there's some buildings has to be closed because of that some serious problem with, and the people has to be moved for somewhere because that's building is not for the just for the people who can live there. So what's the step of by step was this? Is the state paid for this temporary housing, or did the person have to pay for that? How it works normally?
Well, normally there would be no help. so so basically, right, this is where you know how I always talk about like everything you have to look back into your personal responsibility, right? Right now the code is that you have a 40-year inspection. Something that I really want to look into is to see if we can decrease that amount of time from 40 to maybe 10 years, or maybe we can 20 years is the first one, and then 10 years every year, every inspection or certification after that. That's something that we should look into. Building codes, right? Are the building codes properly maintained in those inspection periods or in those certification periods? What are the list of things that need to be inspected, right? So I think the last one that we saw was North Miami Beach. North Miami Beach was the one who evacuated all of their residents out of a condo building. So as far as what happens to those people, I'm not entirely clear yet because I haven't been following up on the news. So I couldn't tell you what it was, but usually it all falls in the responsibility of the owners. I don't think that the HOA would actually tell you, oh, we're going to pay for this amount of money for you to stay in a hotel. I doubt that would ever happen. So it's really important that you are, even though you've delegated the authority and your votes to the HOA board, you should still look into everything that they approve and look into everything that they're doing and make sure that you are protecting your property. We often think when we live in a condo, we're only responsible for our four walls. Yeah, it's true when you buy insurance. But the truth is, however the well-being of the building is and the structure of it and everything else along with it is still yours. Because without that structure, your room or your particular residence or unit isn't protected. So it could almost not exist if the building's not there. So this is very important. It's people like to think that live in condos, they're hands-free, right? They don't have to worry about anything. But the truth is they still do. They still have to look at how the money is being spent. Every month that you pay your HOA fees, is it going to proper maintenance of the building? Is it paying enough for the trash? Is it paying enough for sewage? Is it paying enough for water? So all of that has to be looked at regardless, right? You just have less care in that you've already delegated somebody and paid a lump sum to take care of all of that versus owning a house. But it doesn't mean that you're completely off, hands-free off of that. We have to look at that. There's been too many cases to mention, right, where the money has been mismanaged or, boards or directors are being influenced by certain aspects of not wanting to pay more themselves or not wanting to do certain things. And therefore they pass it on as if it was them who was making that choice. And it might not agree with yours. So every seat and everybody you elect, whether it be an HOA board or whether it be someone in office that is protecting your rights, you really have to be diligent about who it is that you're going to vote in. So this is not just, in politics, it's also condo politics as well. So.
Yeah. Another topics I want to comment you, that's a situation about the 77 minutes wait in Texas. And right now we got the live from Texas with Governor Greg Abbott. Let's just hear him for a couple seconds, okay?
Okay.
Investigations going on. And then when you compare the notes from all these different investigations, you will see all the facts come together. And the families will continue to learn more about that. But they need to be able to know all of this information. And so I'm glad they're learning about it. The way that the videotape was revealed was inconsistent with what the Texas House had planned. But it is important that they do begin to learn exactly what happened.
Governor, it took
two more questions.
Governor,
can we get a question on Operation Lone Star?
Sure.
When it comes to the transportation of migrants back to the border cities, can you elaborate on how this plan is working out, and if in any way this would interfere with the federal agent's job?
So I'll answer the question in part for the numbers. I'll have Director McCraw share with you what the numbers are so far. And so the way that it works is very simple. We have multiple strategies that we use. One strategy that we use is to turn away migrants before they even make it to the Texas border. The other is to put up barriers so that if they make it past the halfway point, they will not make it onto the Texas land. Others are, if they do make it onto Texas land and they're trespassing, they can be arrested for that. But others, if they're not apprehended by Border Patrol, they're now going to be apprehended by Texas DPS and returned to the border. And that's exactly what Director McCraw and DPS officers have been working on achieving beginning a couple of days ago. And you can give the updated numbers.
903 right now. It's probably higher than that, but at least 903. We moved back to the port of entry. And this helps us immediately because we're not waiting hours for Border Patrol to come get them at that point in time. So not just in terms of detention and referral, but we're able to move them quickly, and TDCJ using their buses move them to that location at that point in time. We're able to get back on the road.
Last question.
Governor, our 13 investigative team.
Pharmaceuticals. Is there any chance?
So our 13 investigative team worked on a series called 23 Days. It's a number of days it took for the Florida legislature to make changes to gun laws and mental health issues. It's now been 7 weeks
Well,
since the
that's an
tragedy at
interesting
Robb
topic,
Elementary
yes, of
School.
course.
Where do you stand
About
on
the
this
guns.
now? What do you hope changes? And what do you promise Texans who are suffered by this tragedy that you're going to do?
Well, there's two things working in parallel, at least two things working in parallel. One, obviously, is what the United States Congress worked on, achieved, and passed. Second is I requested the Texas House and Senate to begin working on proposed legislation on a multitude of different topics. They've been having hearings, they've been making progress, and I expect that progress to continue. And once they work on those, some of those will lead to very meaningful results. And so we hope to achieve some results. That said, there's some things that must be done before the school year begins. And these are already being implemented subject to my executive orders. And that is, every school in the state of Texas needs to be inspected and evaluated for public safety. Schools need to live up to the public safety standards that we put into law in the aftermath of prior shootings. Many schools, or let's say at least some schools, are not living up to. And so we have teams that are working on inspecting and working with campuses across the state of Texas, because we want to ensure that when students return to school, those schools are going to be safer than they were when they left school at the end of this past year. A second thing that we passed that's proven to be extraordinarily effective, and that is mental health assessment and treatment for students in schools who have exhibited some behavioral problems. The good news is that this program has been implemented in about 300 independent school districts across the state of Texas. It's identified over 1,000 students that had some challenges that could have led to problematic behavior, including one that purportedly could have led to something like a school shooting. A problem is that had not reached far enough to communities like Uvalde. We're working on trying to expedite that so that it can reach more schools before the school year begins.
And briefly, I know you spoke about these committee hearings. I know similar committee hearings were had after Santa Fe. So what's different now? And can you promise people that there's going to be real change in the state of Texas?
Sure. So first, the hearings that are taking place now are different than what happened after Santa Fe. What happened after Santa Fe is that I was the one as governor conducting the hearings. And then I prepared a booklet of my findings that I then gave to the legislature. And I thought about doing that again, but candidly, that just slows down the process. The people who have to reach agreement in shaping the laws are the legislators. And that's why I decided to ask them to go ahead and begin the process of evaluating what happens. Can I tell you that something will get passed that will improve school safety? The answer is 100% yes. And we'll just need to wait and see how quickly agreement can be reached on those programs and exactly what those programs are. However, the status quo is unacceptable and will not be allowed.
Great, thank you guys so much.
So the main question is 77 minutes. The police have to wait to get in and to shoot that guy who go and who killed 19 people. So do you think the situation is different in Florida? Do you think if if for some reason it's happened here, the police have to wait and avoid the situation to somebody call them racist, the situation, and they get some huge, the prisons charge or something else. This is very horrible thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they got there maybe 10 minutes after, the police actually got there pretty early. They were waiting for the SWAT team, quote unquote, right? So, and that's why there are certain procedures there that somebody is not clear about. This is something that I personally think that there needs to be some kind of revision for. A lot of the police handbooks or manuals or code of conduct and rules are written by a lot of the management level that are a little bit out of sync with the people who are on the patrol. So there's two sides of the police, right? There's like the management level who are the higher ups. They have a certain way that they think things should go. And the people who are on the ground have a way that things should go. No fault of anybody, right? It's just that like management usually creates the manual, and the people who actually perform the duties are performing the duties on the ground. They don't write the manuals. So basically, when you see what could be done and how it should be done, a lot of times it's not clear to the police officers either. And you know that with the way that the police is being scrutinized these days, everybody's afraid of operating outside of the manual. So we have all this red tape, so to speak, right? We have the red tape that is set there, and people are not clear about what they're supposed to do, and they are not thinking of why they are there to do it, right? That's why you see a lot of parents who actually went in, grabbed their kids and left, or somebody who went in with a gun and tried to save, some lives there. So this is where it kind of gets a little wonky. And I think that this is something that we have to look at in terms of our police procedures in different cases, like emergencies like this. So that's just something that I think is still in a gray area, and people do not overstep. People who know a lot about, their manuals and their codes of conduct or their codes of whatever operations, they are not like really on top of that, and they might not know. So that's a big missing. That means that there is a gap inside of our training for our police officers to know that. Now, I don't know what Texas is all about. I just know that Florida is actually trying to do something to change that. And luckily for us, our governor works fast. He pulls together, and we have a very good, strong house that, whenever he calls a special session, we're all there to vote and get ready to go. So that's why it took a couple of days for us to pass certain things versus taking over 2 months to complete something. So, taking way too long to do something. So it's very worrisome. I can understand the reporter for asking Governor Abbott that.
So because it's left radical reporters. That's only one explanation.
Well, I mean, they're gonna keep.
They try to blame him because it's election coming up. So
of course,
this is only one
so
reason.
what I was about to say was that, it's good that we have them there. The thing is, if they will also do the same thing with Democrats, that would be perfect, right? They're only doing that with Republican people. So as long as you're Republican, you can be scrutinized to death by, the media. But when you're a Democrat, it doesn't matter if you're on crack.
Absolutely, because a lot of protection, they allow them everything, absolutely
There's a special
everything.
immunity for your declaration of a certain party, which is very un-American. I
It
absolutely
is,
think it's
yes, and we have to fight for that because the
yeah.
freedom, we have to fight for the freedom. So let's talk about your election. So your election is very hot period right now, I know. Tell us what's new, what's going on during that week.
What's going on with what? I'm sorry. I missed
With the last week, we've met the last week on the Thursday. So I want you to share the news for this week. What's coming up?
the news, there's not much news. Actually, I was in an interview with my primary opponent, and I was in an interview
that's interesting.
yesterday, and then my general opponent was there, so one of them anyway.
Mhm.
And so it's interesting. Like our paths cross all the time, and it's good to know what they know and what they don't know. Because like when I was simultaneously interviewed, meaning like we're on the same screen, they ask us the same questions and we answer the same, answer.
Oh, that was
to
online
the,
interview?
yeah, it was an online interview. Very interesting. I mean, I wish I could have that televised, but unfortunately, it's private property of the people who are interviewing us.
Mhm.
But so basically, I think that my plans for the district is clear. My plans for the state of Florida is very clear. That's something that is, been made apparent by me. And also, like, my opponent doesn't feel like he needs to have those things in place. And I think it's, we only have 2 years in office. We have 2 years in office to really prove that the voters, get behind someone that really is an advocate for them. So, we have those things ready since months ago, and we still see it, that it's relevant, and there's still things that we can tweak. There are things that we can, push forward, and I'm confident that there are enough people in the House out of the 120 that will also support these ideas and think that they're good ideas. So with that said, like, that's basically the hottest topic there is. I think that soon I might be coming out with a show with another friend who is also running for a state senate. He and I are going to do what is it like
That's
to
a
be
good
a candidate?
idea. That's a good
What is it like
idea.
to be a first-time candidate, right? Like people who've never ran for office before and are running for office. Like, what are some of those things that like we run into that's like, boom, slams us in the face, thinking like, geez, I can't believe how bad it is, how bad this is. And it's no wonder why people don't run. It's just us crazy people who think like we're in there to make a difference, right? So we just, push through whatever it is that's in our way. But I could see why a lot of people don't want to go through with it. Some people don't even want to touch politics with a 10-foot pole.
Because people are afraid. The people are afraid even share opinion at work with coworkers. They just, just prefer to keep silent, and so they survive. See, the left terrorism, which is you not have to be only politician. You're not to be as a federal judge. You see how many left radical people, do some things to like a bullying, like do some threats for them for the not right politician decision. But the only people, the radical left terrorism is everywhere. It's not only for the politicians, for the regular people as well. So if you drive the car with the gasoline petroleum engine, you have to be a target as well. So there is some movement in Europe. Seriously, there is no fun. They stop on the gasoline station work. They just stop the traffic on the roads. They just cut your tires if you have the type of car. So we all under the radicalism terrorism, which is allowed by Biden's regime. And this is horrible. People are afraid, of course. And you're talking
Oh
about they
gosh,
go to
yeah.
the politician.
Ronald Reagan's speech quote is like super accurate, right? We're never more than one generation away, like from freedom. So it has to be fought for, has to be passed on to for our children and the next generation to fight for. So it definitely doesn't come free. Remember that this is a value, so it has to be fought for. It's not, it's not given. Freedom is not given, because if people had their way, everybody likes to force people to do something until they're forced that they're not wanting to do. I think I have various friends who are conservatives who would they would never live without a vaccine. I'm happy when people are, when the mandate was being enforced, like that we weren't mandating it in Florida. And I thought that was kind of crazy, because out of the freedom that you believe in, right, you still believe that people should be forced to vaccinate, even though it's against their religion, even though they have pre-existing health issues. It's like, because they want it to be enforced, because they believe in it, and therefore everybody has to do it. Like, we have to stop that, right? We have to realize that, like, everybody has rights to decide how they want to live their life, and you have the right to decide how you want to live your life. So, you know, if you want to have your rights, then you cannot enforce or force people to live their life the way you want them to live their life just because you believe that's right. So this is something that I hold dear. It's very important to me. I think that everybody should have the right to choose. So that's, you know, I mean, it's something that not everybody is present to, even though they believe in individual rights. But sometimes their rights are tainted and biased by their ideas and their thoughts. So definitely, that's something that we have to look into, or people really have to get present to that. This is not the way that that our Constitution works.
So the analysts say some people who disappointed with the Democrats Party, and some people who decided what the Republicans had so many rhinos, so prefer not go to the election. So maybe in this case, they have the suggestions. The third party helps, because maybe that type of the people join to that third party, and that is going to be a great opportunity to keep our voters safe. I mean, the voters, which is, you know, was stolen, for example, on November. This is the way how to protect our voices, to create a third party. What do you really think about third party, and what were you thinking about it?
Well, we have to look at, I mean, there's examples all over the world, right, with third
Yes.
parties. Okay, so for example, the UK, they have the Labour Party, the Conservative Party, right, and they have the Socialists.
We also have some party who is represented in Congress. For example, libertarian, right? It's just a small percent, but even the socialist, we have socialist and representative, and we have some, you know, even side. I show you. By the way, yes, this is very
No, we
interesting.
have multiple parties, but they don't play a significant role because they still haven't been able to get themselves together. But I want to share my thoughts about why
Oh, see, this is
we're a dual
Communist Party
party.
USA.
Yeah,
And this
yeah.
is very interesting. See.
Yeah. Now, see, the thing is, like, there are people who really will stand by that and like support it 100%. I don't know. Maybe we got to look at his Twitter to see how many followers he has. But the whole point that, I mean, like, look at that picture. Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean,
It's amazing.
you know, if people really want to know what the Communist Party looks like, they should just take a hiatus for 3 months and go to Cuba, right? Let's go really find out what it's like to live in a communist party. Why is it that
Oh,
Cubans are
Sri
seeing
Lanka is a good example. Sri Lanka. Yeah.
oh gosh, yeah. So I mean, but this
So now
is
no
more
money,
overlapping with the
nothing.
whole, new green
The-
whatever, that deal that they are trying to make, right? And so, oh, no more chemical fertilizers. Like, yeah, how many people can really afford organic fertilizers to grow enough food for their people to eat? What is the population of Sri Lanka? Goodness sake, like, can you answer that first? And then tell me how they're going to be able to afford that with, the prices of whatever is going up right now. They can't even get gas. They have to wait at the gas station for 3 nights in a row before, I mean, I don't even know if 3 nights is going to get them gas, right, for their vehicles. So, I mean, we still, despite all the craziness that we have, including the administration that is in office right now, we still live in the best country in the world. I just cannot stress any more than that, because, like, I know friends who live around the world who are suffering. America still provides the best opportunity for anything for us to, to live a normal life. It is a tough time to get through, right? Now inflation's up at 9%, over 9%. What can we do about that, right? I mean, like, with the decisions that have been made, this is why elections are so important. So to go back to your election question, Nick, if you don't elect the right people, this is what happens. we elected Joe Biden, or the people elected Joe Biden, because they believed that he would bring more normalcy and more peace, right? It turns out that he is the most left-wing president, doing all these things to please certain groups of people that had supported him for the election, right? So like all these Greta Thunberg people who say, oh, no more fossil fuels, right? Like, how can we have no more fossil fuels? I mean, how long did we take to get to that fossil fuels part? And how long are we taking to shut it down, right? There's no down part substituting with something else, like nothing. It's just, all right, we're going to go, solar now. And guess who's benefiting off of all our solar purchases, right? The more solar panels we buy, the biggest producer of solar panels right now is China. And if we're trying to compete against China, we shouldn't be sending them gas. We shouldn't be sending them oil. We shouldn't be sending them money that has to do with anything that like facilitates their economy. And even if they say that there are private companies, there is no such thing as a private company in communist China. Everything is controlled by the government. So back to the situation about Communist Party and the communist, the reason why we have two sides is that it's only going to go on this linear line. It's either going to go more left or go more right. All of that has to do with the fact that it won't have us go extreme in one other direction, right? There won't be any Nazism. There won't be any Marxism. But if you have a leftist party that is already leaning left and you have a very Marxist, we're going to end up with these two taking the majority of the vote away from the conservatives. So by having two parties, people only choose between the left liberal side or the right? And I don't believe that America is going to go into Nazism, right? We have too many immigrants in this country for that to take effect. Like to say that whites are going to dominate, you're going to see Asians, you're going to see all the Hispanics and Latinos, you're going to see the blacks. Everybody is going to rise up against that.
They can go against the white people. So this is what the White House's belief. The oldest society, black, and some can go against white people. Why not? Against Americans?
Well, then first thing Joe Biden should
it's
do
kind
is
of
to
diversity.
resign, right? If he thinks that there's white supremacy, because he is the white person in the highest office of the land. If he thinks that like this is a sign of white supremacy, down, right? Let's let Kamala Harris mess up the country some more because she's a minority, right? She's in the protected group of people. Yeah, she's black and Indian. Like, let her rule the country and see what happens. Like, what they say and what they do are two completely different things, right? It's not, it's do as I say, but not, not do as I do. Like if they are taking actions in certain ways, they should be consistent with what they're saying. And this is what the biggest weakness of the left is that like they are completely biased and they make up things and make up rules that only suit them. And that's just ridiculous, right? Ridiculous. Anyway. So yeah, I believe that the two-party system actually works out for America. It keeps us, well, think about in any modern day society, America has been the most stable in the past 200 to 300 years because of this two-party system. When you see countries like England or the UK, they actually have multiple parties. And when it leans a certain way, then they group together and they take the dominating they dominate the parliament. And that has an effect. I mean, you've seen how far the country went before Margaret Thatcher pulled it back, right? So you'll see how capitalism and how conservatism actually took place at that time because the country went too far left. That's just some examples, and you can look all over the country. In Thailand, we had an election where there were 30 different parties. Everybody and their mother who wanted to start a party, they started a party and they had one thing on the agenda, and everybody wanted to have their one thing on the agenda, and they had 30 different agendas, and it never came to fruition. At the end of the day, it's still ruled by a dictatorship, right? A military dictatorship at that. So it's that multiple system party doesn't really work. I mean, you can explore it, you can look into it, and if you have any more questions or comments for me, like feel free to send me an email, because I'd like to hear about where multiple system parties work.
Okay, I told you one thing. So we just talking about the safety, and so I just found a tweet from Ocasio-Cortez. It's on the screen. Ocasio meets down over comedian days after mocking concern of Kavanagh's safety. It was too long ago. The Ocasio-Cortez principles on the issue protest were based on her following: the whole point of protection is to make some politicians uncomfortable. They proven liar tweets on December 2012. Activists take the discomforted status quo status of advocate of concerned policy changes. Popular support offers starts small and grows to folk who campaign protects demand on other uncomfortable. That's the point. See, this is the point confirming Ocasio-Cortez on her Twitter. In my thing, that's very horrible situation, and this is Congresswoman tweeted that on her Twitter. What can you say about this?
I stand by privacy, right? If Judge Kavanaugh wants to go have dinner at the Mortons, he should have dinner in peace. If they wanted to protest something, they can protest it in front of the Supreme Court. That's where his duties are. Because at the end of the day, even though he is a lifetime appointed seat, right? He was approved. He also does have a right to his own privacy and his life. And I think everybody should, because I'm not one to say, okay, everybody should go protest in front of all these left-wing, politicians' houses. I'm not saying that at all, right? I'm saying that everybody deserves to have their right, and they deserve to stand where they are and represent the people that they stand for. What Judge Kavanaugh was standing for is he's standing that we interpret the law as it was designed, right? Now, as it was designed, a lot of people are like, oh, nobody's talking about muskets. We're talking about AR-15s, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but I mean, times change. And if the government's equipment is now nuclear bombs and machine guns, and you want us to have a musket, that makes no sense. So everything is relative to each other. And if we are having guns and in our rights that shall not be infringed, right? That means that we have to be able to protect ourselves if the government chooses to take over us and chooses to suppress us or do anything to us, because the government is only there to protect our rights. And if they're not doing that job and they're taking away our rights, that's why those guns are there. And we're not going to be carrying muskets and pushing gunpowder down the barrel to make one shot. That was definitely 250 years ago, but we're not doing that anymore now. So does that mean that the government should not have any machine guns and should not have any F-35s or whatever, the latest, fighter jet is? No, I'm saying that what do the people have to have in order to protect themselves against the tyrannical governments that may happen, and it looks like it's going to happen. So that's something that people forget, and they're trying to interpret this in some other way. Like when we're talking about people's rights, especially in abortion, I don't understand why there's this big hoot, right, about no, this
They
is
give the
protected by
states
the
rights to
government.
make a choice.
Exactly.
What's the problem? Make a choice.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And if you really, if abortion is that important to you, you got to tell me why. I mean, yeah, okay, women's rights to choose, but now it's not women anymore though, right? There could
Absolutely.
be birthing people. So I got to
Just
change when
human
I
who
introduce
has a
my mom, I'm
vagina.
going
I'm
to have to
sorry.
introduce her as,
Yeah.
this is my birthing parent, give me a break. We got to stop this nonsense. We're trying to divide everything up so much, and it's only for a small group of people. What about the rest of us, right? What about the rest of us? We still have to continue on with our lives. And I'm not diminishing the fact that people identify as certain things. They can identify all day long. They can even change their identification if they want to, right? But decide on one and let us know. And then after we find out, then okay, fine, you go on living your life. I will protect your rights as if I protect everybody else's rights, right? And when I'm protecting abortion, if I'm protecting the life of the unborn who has no say, who is an innocent life, who has never done anything wrong. So I think I've said too much today.
Which is good. Which is good. So tell us about one more time about how to register, how to go to the voters pool, how to be helpful with this election, which is coming up very soon, and maybe a little bit more about primaries. The primaries is coming up in August, right? So tell us, start from the primaries, because it's very interesting process, how it looks like.
Okay. So, so the election system has a primary where the parties select one nominee per party, right? If you're a no party affiliate, there could be unlimited numbers of no party affiliates. But the qualifying period has already passed, so now we're set. We have 3 Republican candidates that have qualified.
Which is supported by one Republican party. 3 candidates,
right, so we have
Republicans.
3. Whoever wins this nomination will win the
This
Republican
is very
Party's
good.
who will win the Republican Party's support, right? We have 2 Democrat candidates, right? That one of these, whoever wins, will get the Democrat support. So then each one of those winners will meet each other in the general election. Now in Florida, which kind of makes sense to me, but you know, it's kind of, only Republicans get to nominate their Republican nominee. Okay? So on August 23rd, that's a deadline. We start early voting, I think August 8th through 21st. Then we skip a day, and then on the 23rd is the real election. So that Monday you have off.
Not only Florida, right? It's every state has the same
No,
date.
only in Florida.
Only in Florida.
Okay. Only in Florida. The rest of the states have already almost completed. Almost all the states finished their elections already. We hear the nominees. Remember, like Oz was nominated as a Senate in Pennsylvania. You know,
New
like
York?
all that. New York is. I'm not sure about New York. Maybe they're coming soon. I don't know. But in Florida, and only in Florida, is our primary election that starts on the 8th, ends on the 21st. That's for early voting, and the actual day of the voting, which is August 23rd. So August 8th through 21st, you can vote. In our district, there's only 4 voting places. Okay, and then on the 23rd, all the precincts open. So then you can go vote anywhere you want from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then we count. And whoever wins the primary and goes through to the general election. Now to vote in that primary, you must be registered with a party. So you could register to vote as a Republican and vote for me or my other 2 opponents. But I guarantee you, I am the best choice.
No, only for you. Only for you. We have only one choice. Only for you. For Lynn Su July.
Yeah, and the name on the ballot looks like that
guys.
on the bottom here, on the bottom. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
because we know you only like a Lynn Su, and you started to look for her name, and you cannot find, because in the ballots, it's exactly as on the screen. Lynn Su July. Look this.
You said it very beautifully. Thank you. Yeah. So on, either way, whether you vote early or whether you vote by mail-in ballot or whether you vote in person on the election day, there's 3 options. You vote for Lynn Su July, right? And I have the right to say that here. And so and you guys know I stand for making sure that we get out of this inflation in one piece. Right? Yes. I stand for better education for our kids to prepare us against any future countries that want to take us down, but we will have our people ready. And also I stand for affordable and accessible healthcare. So those are the 3 main things that I will be advocating for the entire state. And I would love for your support. Make sure you register to vote, and you have to register to vote by, I believe, the 25th of July. The 25th of July is the last day to register for the primary, okay? And then I believe it's October 11th is the last day to register to vote in the general. So remember that, like, this time, if you support Governor DeSantis like I do, right, you would register to vote
And like
by
Elon
July.
Musk as well, but Elon Musk give
Oh
him
yeah, Elon
25
Musk also
billion.
endorsed him. Yeah. So, if you support Governor
We
DeSantis,
our
he also
team.
has a primary, right? There's other candidates running against him that are Republican and, that are, we don't worry about the Democrat side, but we got to make sure that he becomes the nominee. I don't have a doubt, because I think 80% of our state is like fully behind Governor DeSantis. But in that same ballot, there's me as well, right? And then there's other, or was he the only nominee right now? Did everybody back out?
Not only his, I remember. Yeah. We should check
There's
it out.
some other ones, right? Do you remember that? I have to look first to see if they. Oh
Yeah, check it.
yeah. So we do have a couple of Republicans here. No, there's only one. So he's already in. You don't need
Yeah,
to
I
vote
told
for
you. I
him.
remember it was time I checked it out. It was only one.
Yeah, which is great. And it looks like Marco Rubio is also the only one,
hmm
right? And then yeah, so this is great. This is really, really great. Okay, so that's why he wasn't on the ballot that we saw last week. Remember that? You showed me a ballot. There was only
Yeah.
congressional seat.
Example, yes.
Yeah. So that's good. So that doesn't mean that you still don't go to vote for the primary. We're happy that, we're sailing in Governor DeSantis and Senator Rubio, but us smaller people here in the House seats and in the congressional seats still need your support, okay? So please go in and vote. We want to make sure that we have a record turnout in both the primary and the general, because this is going to be a sign for the Democrats to know that we are unhappy, right? We are unhappy. Our election system has been cleaned out to a certain extent. That is, I think, first of all, we never had any problems with Florida to begin with, right? And with our governor putting in more, with the House actually putting in more statutes inside of the voting situation, it will actually secure it even more, right? We also did away with all the Zuckerbucks, if you guys know what the Zuckerbucks are. So
Unfortunately,
there's no more Zuckerbucks, right? There's no more Zuckerbucks. So that's good news for us. That's good news for us that this will be a fair fight, right? Because what we want to show is that it's the desire of the people to actually get what we need to get done and bring our country back on track. Okay, so register to vote. You want to show the website, Nick?
Yes. So
Yes,
this is
yes.
email, first of all, but the website is here.
I think it's voter register. Did you get it yet?
Yes, 1 second, and I show the website.
It's register to vote Florida.gov.
Yes, it's here on the screen.
Wait, that's my website.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
We'll go there soon.
But you have to have a link on your website, the quick link.
I do, actually. It hasn't. My web designer went on vacation for summer, and he just got back, so he'll
Remember the address. Remember the address of the website.
Yeah, and it's register to vote Florida, all one word, .gov. Okay.
Okay, it's here. 1 second. It was open before. Okay, it's here.
There we go. Yeah. And then either register or update. If you just moved in the area, you can register, move from out of state.
This is the first main step. If you moved from New York, for example, just go and confirm this is your first time, right?
Yeah, exactly. So register to vote and then make sure you make it out to the polls. If you're not sure if you can make it out to the polls because either you have to work or you may be going out of town on vacation of any kind, make sure you have your absentee ballot. Okay, so you can register to vote that way. So absentee ballots are dropping right now, but for the general election, not yet. You still have an opportunity to get your absentee ballot for the general election. So that's that. Yeah, and make sure you exercise your right. Like I said, we have to send a signal. We have to let them know that like we are unhappy with whatever policies that DC is trying to push down on us. And in Florida, we will not stand for that. We are standing for our freedom, and you voting shows that. Okay.
Yeah. And go to the go and register, guys. And this is very important thing. This is very important to go and vote for our candidates. And I show you the ballot right now. It's on the screen, right? So this is the start of the ballot. You can go and find Lynn Su July here. It's a representative 57. It's a pretty much third field. It's here. It's over there. Make mark here, and so please vote for Lynn for the state representative district 106. So it's pretty much over there. So please request that example of the ballot to see the another name to make sure you go fully prepared for the gift for delegate your only one vote to politicians.
Absolutely, yeah. This is where we can bring all the opinions we want into a debate, right? But this is the final one, like what you bring to the table when you go out and cast your vote. It's very important. It is like a right that you have as an American. It is a right that you have to protect your freedom, and this is how you speak out about it. So make sure you go out, register to vote, and go out and vote. And don't forget to vote for me. I am willing to work hard for you, and I will always be in touch. I don't know, maybe if Nick is willing, we can still have these calls every week.
Of course, yes. Well, and may think you got time after that.
Maybe
but
after session.
we try to find it, figure out your time. And
yeah,
also,
maybe
guys,
after session.
yes, this is very important. Yeah, sure. Please vote for the Lynn Su, and please help her with her campaign, because it's very also important. We all need, some financial to get our life better. So she has the opportunity. You can go to her website and you can make donation, not only financial donation. You can volunteer for her. You can go to the water pools. You can do everything to help. Please contact her. Her email on the screen. It's very easy. Lynn at lynnsu.com. This is her email address. You can send anytime.
That comes straight to me. Mm-hmm.
And the website is over there on the screen, and that's already you. Also, it's easy. Just Google her. All information come up, and you can see her site, her interviews, and all information about her. She is really cool. She is really well, and she really can change the situation. Not like everyone who go to the politicians, believe me. Thank you, Lynn, for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Nick.
Waiting for next time, for the next Thursday. Looking forward to meet you.
Me too. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you guys so much for your support, all of you who are listening. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to work with you. We are knocking on doors every day. So if you have some time available, let me know what time that is, and we can go out together and meet the people and share good news that like our district, our state is going to be protected. We are going to have freedom in this state. And if you'd like to donate, don't forget on that website, worldwideweb.lynnsu.com, go to the donate button and donate whatever you want. Like, it doesn't matter how much. I just want to show them that we have people behind us. Yeah. And you guys, don't forget this wonderful channel, like Two Cats. Thank you for being such a supporter, but I know that he also has a fundraising request also. Can you put that up so we can see that? And we can also help donate to that
We
too.
got the PayPal also with the QR code. See, it's very
Wow,
convenient.
that's more advanced than me. I need a
Yeah,
QR code. Okay, let me
yeah,
see that.
sure. It's
So we have,
very
okay.
very easy and comfortable. And also for people who doesn't have a PayPal, see, it's very easy. We have a Zelle. You can use also a QR code, and you can use our email address to catsvideoproduction@gmail.com. So support
Wow.
our channel and support Lynn Su. And remember, if somebody knock your door, just ask before, is it Lynn Su? If answer is not, say, go away. If the answer is Lynn Su, it's like our code, guys. You can open the door. I can say, hello, Lynn. I so wait you and you here finally. Thank you. Have a
Yes,
wonderful
thank you
day.
so much. Thank you very much. All right. You guys have a fantastic week. I'll see you again next week.
You too. Thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.